Hello，大家好啊！歡迎各位收睇今集嘅越洋買定離手啊！因為咧去到今個星期六晚1月30號夜晚，我哋喺香港呢邊啊就會睇到南非方面嘅轉播賽事啊。Today I'm very happy to invite two guest speakers to chat with me about the Sunday night meeting at Kenilworth Racecourse. Let me introduce our guest speakers first. The first speaker is Joe. Hello, Joe. How are you? Can you introduce yourself to our Hong Kong punters?
Hi everyone, I'm Joe. I do a podcast in America for international racing, so I follow a lot of circuits around the world as far as international racing goes. So Japan, England, today South Africa, even Hong Kong. So yeah, we're very excited to be on.
Thank you very much for joining us. And the other guest will be Alistair. Hello, Alistair. How are you?
Hi, Shireen. Thank you so much for having me. I'm good, thank you. I'm a South African race commentator. I travel around most of the country. I'm predominantly based in Johannesburg, but I was down in Cape Town for the lead up to the Cape Town Met and the Queen's Plate at the start of the year. So yeah, very excited for one of South Africa's big race days coming up this weekend.
Yes, we are all looking forward about that. Alistair, I know you are now in South Africa, so one very important question to ask you is that how about the weather recently in South Africa?
Well, in Cape Town this time of year, you're going to get really good, sunny, beautiful conditions. If you're ever planning on coming out to South Africa, Cape Town, December, January, February is the best place that you can possibly go to. So the sun should be shining. There is a good chance that there will be a strong headwind blowing. And when I say strong headwind, it's, horses are going to feel it. And that could play into the advantage of the Cape Town-based runners and makes for a very interesting race, especially in the Cape Flying Championship.
Cool. So the meeting will be held under the good weather. So in Hong Kong, we will start seeing the simulcast race from race 4. Let us move on to the 3 group runs in the meeting. The first race I would like to discuss will be the Cape Flying Championship. It will be race 4 in Hong Kong, while it is race 7 in South Africa. Joe, could you tell us your selection in this race?
No, the field looks tough, but I mean, if you want to go on a best bet, I think could be the best bet of the card is Celtic Sea, only because she's had a lot of really good wins in the last couple starts. Did get second to Temple Griffin in one at Greyville, but does well at Kenilworth, and I think that's just one that even Alistar said in a tweet, don't if it wins, you don't take the win lightly. It's a really good horse. And also Run Fox Run, the one right next to it, number 11. I think that one does have a chance. It did have a really good win the last time out, I thought, when it was at Kenilworth as well, in an open race. So Celtic Sea just looks really good. I mean, you also have Casimir. Casimir is also a horse, but has a really wide barrier. I don't know about the barrier for this horse, but that one had a really impressive win over at the Queen's Plate Day. So I'm going to go with Celtic Sea. I think she's the one to beat in this race.
Okay, thank you, Joe. How about you, Alistair? Which horse do you like in this race?
So I think Joe's nailed it with the 2 girls that are going to have a really, really good chance in the form of Celtic Sea and Run Fox Run, numbers 10 and 11. I think what punters need to bear in mind is that the winner of this race 2 years ago, Casimir, is in the race, and as Joe said, it was a really, really smart win last time. The dynamic now, when I speak about a really strong headwind that's likely to blow at Kenilworth on Saturday, is that if it's strong, you'll tend to find horses drawn on the outside will want to go inwards. On Queen's Plate Day, the wind wasn't all that bad, so horses were able to run in a straight line, and horses on the outside, or the best horses in the race, generally came out on top. So Casimir, who won this race 2 years ago, and number 2, Russet Air, who won this race last year, are both drawn towards the outside. So if that wind pumps like we expect, then they're going to have to do a little bit of work to get in behind runners. It's less of a problem for Russet Air because he comes from off the pace. When he wins, he really takes his opposition down to the trenches and really fights them off. And Casimir has not lost any of his zest for racing. His last win was a really good victory. But with regard to 10 and 11, Celtic Sea and Run Fox Run, they're the 2 horses that I am going to have a good look at here. I know that Celtic Sea beat Run Fox Run on the 12th of December. It was a really good back to the wall victory over 1,000 meters. And until then, Celtic Sea hadn't run over 1,000 meters, let alone won over 1,000 meters. It was a really, really good win. What swings me a little bit into the favor of Run Fox Run, though, is that I know that Sean Terry was deciding whether he wanted to go Celtic Sea on the Cape Flying or on the Mallorca Stakes, which is a race later on the card. So a little bit worried about that. Two completely different races. One's over 1,000 meters, the other's over a mile. But Celtic Sea is a class of the race, and another Grade 1 win will certainly not go unwanted. And then, as mentioned, I think number 11, Run Fox Run, is going to be a big contender. I think whatever happens, there'll be less between them in the Cape Flying 2021 than there was last time in what was the Scepter Stakes. And the other interesting runner that a lot of people are talking about is number 12, Eric the Red. He's stud bound. They're going to make him into a stallion, very, very well bred. He has not won a Grade 1 yet. So he'll be out there giving his absolute best to get that Grade 1 under the belt to make his potential stud career a lot more promising.
So thank you guys for your insight. So for the next race we are going to talk about will be race 5 in Hong Kong, while it is race 8 in South Africa, the Mallorca Stakes. Joe, which horse you are keen on in this race?
Well, the big one is Clouds Unfold. I think that's she was against Queen Supreme and also Summer Pudding, who didn't have a great run, but she has excuses. She had some mucus in her trachea. So Summer Pudding was in like a big, I think, 9-win streak. So I think that form, as far as Clouds Unfold goes, should be another one that's it's another favorite. But I'm gonna go with somebody else. I'm gonna go with Silvano's Pride, a big roughie in the field, a 20-1 in our market, 20-1 in the American market. And that it wasn't a Grade 1 before, but I think you could excuse that last run. The one where it won in the Grade 3, very narrowest, but still was able to manage to win. And I think that's going to be a good value play if you want to play it underneath. I mean, I wouldn't take it out of any quartets or superfectas here, or even trifectas or the tricast. Or yeah, I think I'm going to go with Silvano's Pride as the value bet here in this race.
So how about Alistair? Which horse you like?
So there's a serious belief around South Africa that this is the best 3-year-old crop that we've seen in a long time. And if punters are going to take that on board, then number 10, Captain's Ransom, I think is the horse that they need to beat. Justin Snaith and Richard Faree team up. She's got a good draw. And interesting that Joe mentioned Silvano's Pride, and also you mentioned Stallgate number 1. That's going to be a huge positive for Silvano's Pride and also for Captain's Ransom. They are stable companions, and Silvano's Pride is a well-known front runner. She's not going to mess around. A lot of the time in Cape Town, and there's going to be a debate that we have going into the Met, there's something called the Cape Crawl, where they go a false pace in Cape Town because of the wind, and that can throw up a very dodgy result. And with Silvano's Pride in the race from Stallgate 1, I don't think we're going to get a Cape Crawl in the Mallorca Stakes, and that could set things up very nicely for number 10, Captain's Ransom. There's a bit of form around for Captain's Ransom. She beat Princess Kala by 2 1/4 lengths in the Cape Fillies Guineas. And of course, Princess Kala ran just next to Clouds Unfold in the Paddock Stakes just 3 weeks ago. So if you're going to take that on board, then number 10, Captain's Ransom, has even more impetus going into this race. I have great respect for number 1, Clouds Unfold. She's won this race 2 years running. It'll be a huge achievement if she won it 3 in a row. She has a good chance of winning 3 in a row, and she tends to lift herself for the big day. But I think Captain's Ransom could very well be a cut above, and she'll be my first selection in race 8.
So move on to the feature race of the day will be the Met. Race 6 in Hong Kong, while it is race 9 in Kenilworth. The Met. So Joe, which horse you are supporting in this race?
They're all good. It's really hard to stand out one out of all the others, because you have the big rivalry between Bulgarian, Rainbow Bridge, Do It Again, even Cirillo, who's in this race. But the one I think definitely has a chance, and I think I'm going to back this one, is Golden Ducket, because it had a really impressive win. I think it really likes Kenilworth. And nothing against Rainbow Bridge, because Rainbow Bridge ran a really strong race in the Queen's Plate against the 3-year-old. Also Bulgarian, who tries really hard. I really like Bulgarian. I think that was one that had a win all the way up until that point. So you can't, you have to respect him. But I think Golden Ducket there's just something about him. Every time I look at the form, I see Golden Ducket just stand out to me. Even though you had Rainbow Bridge, even though you had all these other horses that have competed against each other, and it did defeat Rainbow Bridge. So I'm going to lean towards, if the market suggests Golden Ducket, I take it at whatever odds it is. But if you could find something better and you think that, Rainbow Bridge is coming at good odds, then you probably want to take Rainbow Bridge or even Bulgarian, because I think Bulgarian could be the favorite in this one, but I'm going to go with Golden Ducket.
How about Alistair? Which horse do you support in this race?
Sure. Just to make it clear, I'm a big fan of Luke Ferrars. I think he's going to be a gun jockey. I don't think he'll be in South Africa for too long, put it like that. To elaborate on what Joe says, 6 months ago, I thought Golden Ducket is going to be the horse to beat in the Met. It's the complexion of the race has changed so many times over the last few months. So I can tell you now that there are 3 horses I don't like in the Met. Those are African Night Sky, Sovereign Spirit, and Silver Operator, and also Running Brave. So 4 horses I don't like in the Met. So I'll be surprised if one of those won. All these other horses in the race are grade 1 quality. They've won their grade 1 races, and they wouldn't be shock winners at all. All in all, though, I've been looking for reasons to beat number 3 Bulgarian, and I can't. In the Queen's Plate, I think it was actually the wrong race. I think the pace backfired against Bulgarian. They didn't go the most honest gallop over 1,600 meters, and he just got caught a little bit in a pocket, fought for his head down the side of the course, and still did his best work at the end, finishing 3rd behind Jet Dark. And I think that run, although straight after the race was a bit of a blow that he didn't win, I think in hindsight it's going to bring him along really, really well coming into the Met of 2021. I have great respect for number 7 Golden Ducket. Like I said, 6 months ago, I thought he'd be the horse to beat in the Met, so he's got a big chance. Number 9 Queen Supreme. What worries me about Queen Supreme is the travel factor. She's based in Johannesburg, so she went down for the Paddock Stakes, came back to Joburg. That's a good 1,600-kilometer journey, so it's a very, very long way. And then back to Cape Town this week, so it can be an arduous trip. However, I think she's good enough to win. It's just a matter of how she handles the traveling. She tried it last year, and on Met Day, she backfired in the Mallorca Stakes. And the most interesting runner, she's not my first selection, but I'm going to include her in the reckoning. Number 11, Princess Colour, out of Stallgate 1. She's a 3-year-old filly, and the last 3-year-old filly to win the Met was under Grant van Niekerk in the form of O Susanna about 3 years ago. She snuck under the radar coming into the Paddock Stakes last time. She ran an absolute cracker, running 3rd to Queen Supreme. I called the race. She's a really good-looking daughter of Flower Alley. I know that Joe is a big fan of the Flower Alleys. So number 11, Princess Colour, could be absolutely anything in the race. She could come out lengths ahead of the others, and she could be lengths worse than the others. It's just very, very difficult to place her. And then the 2 old soldiers, Rainbow Bridge and Do It Again, they know each other very well. They're multiple grade 1 winners. Rainbow Bridge won this race 2 years ago. A lot of people like them. I just put Bulgarian ahead of them for me, though.
Okay, so thank you guys for your insights. So maybe for the whole meeting, which horse will be your best bet and your value bet? Joe, could you please share with us?
I'm going to go back to race number 7 with Celtic Sea, the number 10. I just think that one's just, if you just look at the form itself, it speaks for itself with her. I think she's going to be really good and definitely the one to beat. And Alistair, you've called the horse before, so you know you know how she is, right?
Yeah, she's very good.
Yeah, and I think for the value play, I think right now here it's 20 to 1, so we're going to watch the market on him, and that is Silvano's Pride in the next race, race number 8, number 2. So if you could get a good price, I know you guys over there have fixed odds. We don't. If you could lock in a good price and maybe do a place bet on them or just go across the board, I would take it. I wouldn't completely take it out. Like just put it in your trifectas or even your quartets or superfectas. I think she's one that could run a sneaky race.
Thanks, Joe. I just marked down the horse names. How about Alistair? Which horse will be your best bet and a value bet?
So my best bet comes up in race 10. That's one of the last races that you'll be taking in Hong Kong. And the former number 7, Silver Host. He stands out as a horse that's improving all the time. His win on Queen's Plate Day was out of the top draw. He'll have no issues with it. He should have no issues with the distance, and I think that he stands out, like I said, as a horse on the up. So he's my best bet on the day. My value bet, I'm actually having a tough time with a value bet, so I'm going to give an unraced horse as a horse to watch. Last I saw was around 7-1. I expect it to be a little bit shorter come race time. Race 5, number 5, Ambiorix from the Vaughan Marshall stable. This is a Vercingetorix progeny, and all those progeny are really firing at the moment. Vaughan Marshall trains and Luke Ferraris rides, and I've heard good things about him. It's really, really hard for an unraced horse to win at feature race level on debut anywhere in the world, but I've heard good things, so I'm going to recommend just including that horse in all your bets.
Okay.
Because you don't know with the 2-year-olds, they could do anything. It's their babies in that race. I think, I would watch the market on that one for sure.
Yeah, and I think at this stage, you don't have to be great to stand out.
Okay, thank you so much. So thank you very much. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Alistair, for your time for joining our chat. Hope we will meet soon, maybe in South Africa, maybe in US, or maybe in Hong Kong. Thank you for your time for joining me for the chat. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.